My dad's immigration story compared to Charlie's story from Just Mercy. To sum up how my dad went from Vietnam to America, first his mom sent him off to cross the border. He got caught and was forced in a labor camp. His mom bailed him out with gold bars. Finally, he escaped along with his sister. He boarded a small boat, and then boarded a bigger boat, and then finally went to refugee camp in Malaysia, then another refugee camp in the Philippines, and finally entered the United States. The experience he had getting to the big boat from the small boat, he said, was the most traumatic to him. The small boat was packed with 149 people. Once the oil rig approached, the little boat passengers knew they had to get on somehow. They had a choice to make: jump in the ocean and swim towards the big boat, or wait until the big boat passengers found a way to get the little boat passengers on board. Many were eager to just jump in and swim, so that's what they did. But some did not know how to swim. My dad made the hard decision of jumping and leaving his sister in the boat. What went through his mind when making this decision is that he needed to get to the United States not only for himself, but for his entire family of mom, dad, and 8 siblings. If he became established in the United States, he would be the connection for the rest of his family. This is similar to the case of Charlie in Just Mercy. He was a 14-year-old boy who shot his mother's boyfriend in the head because he beat her almost to death. The boyfriend, George, came home one night extremely drunk and hit Charlie's mother, who fell and hit her head. Charlie was holding his unconscious and bleeding mother in his arms while George was passed out from the alcohol. Later, Charlie made the decision to pick up the gun and shoot him in the head. This is similar to my dad's story because my dad made the hard decision to leave his sister behind and risk his life by jumping out of the boat, for the sake of the rest of his family. Charlie shot George for the sake of him and his mother. My dad could have drowned, or that could have been the last time he saw his sister, but he jumped anyway because he felt like he was doing the right thing for the rest of his family, just how Charlie felt like he was doing the right thing for his mother. The thing about having the responsibility to make a life-changing decision when you are at such a young age and with such little life experience on your back is oftentimes you make the wrong decision. Charlie was only 14 years old when he chose to kill someone. In his mind, he was just getting rid of the person that repeatedly harmed his mom, and it was as simple as that. In my dad's mind, he was jumping off the boat to help his family live a better life, and it was as simple as that. So the lack of life experience and wisdom due to age was a common factor that my dad and Charlie had when going through both of these experiences. And the consequences of that decision is something they both had to live with, which is the direct result of a loss of innocence. So let's go back to the labor camp part of his journey. He was caught by the police when he was trying to escape the country and was sent to labor camp, which is basically a prison for those who either tried to escape Vietnam or tried to overthrow the government. He was forced to do strenuous labor at the age of 14. He did the work that 25-year-old men should have been doing. He saw things that no one should ever see in their entire lives. He saw men beat to death just for looking at the officers the wrong way. For food, he just got a rock of salt and a bowl of rice every day. Charlie, in Just Mercy, was sent to an adult prison for murdering George, so he experienced things that no one should ever experience, let alone a 14-year-old boy. He says to Stevenson, "There were 3 men who hurt me on the first night. They touched me and made me do things. They came back the next night and hurt me a lot," he said, becoming more hysterical with each word. "There were so many last night. I don't know how many there were, but they hurt me," he cried. Both my dad and Charlie had endured, well, torture to say the least, and both at such a young age. Kids are robbed of their innocence when they are forced to do what adults have to do. Something else that took Charlie and my dad's innocence was spending a period of time surrounded by adults. Charlie was surrounded by adults in prison because, well, it was an adult prison, and my dad spent months with very few kids. When spending extended periods of time with adults, that causes you to mature much quicker than how normal kids are supposed to mature. When Stevenson was questioning Charlie to get more information so that he could help him, Charlie wouldn't say one word for quite a while. It was like pulling teeth to get Charlie to say anything. Stevenson asked questions, but when Charlie didn't say anything, he just began talking about random things like which car he should get. After the ramblings, he said, "Come on, Charlie, what's going on? You've got to talk to me, son." That's when Charlie began sobbing and saying that they hurt him. This is where Charlie's story and my dad's differ. When my dad arrived in America, he immediately began building a life for himself. He found a great passion in computers, so he pursued a career in that. Once he made enough money, he started a family with my mom. Also, my dad tells me snippets from his story every once in a while to teach me lessons and to remind me that I should never take what I have for granted. He gladly tells his story in order to positively affect my life. When a kid is robbed of their innocence too early in their life, it can go one of 2 ways. It can make them stronger, or it can break them temporarily or permanently. My dad became stronger while Charlie let the experience negatively affect him. Through making these comparisons between my dad and Charlie, I've come to realize that my dad never really had a full and healthy childhood, so he made absolutely sure that I did. And through that realization, I will make sure that when I have kids, they have one as well. So, contrary to what we've been talking about, the loss of innocence, my dad actually caused a positive rippling effect of preservation of innocence. So, to wrap it all up, it's safe to say when thrown into the harsh reality of the world, especially at such a young age, a loss of innocence is the result. When you are treated like an adult, you tend to morph into an adult mentally and emotionally. Having your innocence taken away from you too early results in either turning the negative experience into something positive or letting that experience hinder you. There were so many traumatic experiences that happened on my dad's journey that turned him into an adult, and there were so many traumatic experiences that happened to Charlie that turned him into an adult. For both cases, loss of innocence was a direct result.